Good morning, Banana Shire. I'm sorry I couldn't be there today, but I'm sure that the day in Billawilla will be a very effective one. I hope you're having a good season. I know that out west it's a little bit tougher at the moment, but around Billow, I suppose you're looking for a shower of rain as well. We've just had a very effective trip up to Indonesia. We keep on building on our relationship there. This sits on the back of 3 free trade agreements, 7 new live animal destinations, cracked the live export market into China. I think Elders are just about ready to send off their first load. We've got other issues that are floating along as well. Obviously the grass-fed levy issue, we were trying to bring that to a conclusion. We now are heading towards a directly elected cattle council. It's going to be very important, and we want to see this come about as quickly as possible. I understand that some people have a sense of disappointment that they want to go further, but let's make sure we make this first step work extremely well. On the cattle prices, well, they're there for all to see. I know they've come off a bit just in recent days, but overall we have record prices and we're getting these volumes continuing to flow through to new markets. I think it's really important that we understand that it's all part of a plan. We're working to get better market access, better market prices, and through the white paper we've allowed such things as 100% write-off on fencing, 100% write-off on water reticulation, so you can get your irrigation precincts on your place up to scratch, write-off over 3 years for fodder storage, $800,000 to farm management deposits. That legislation's still got to go through, but that's been part of the white paper. $800,000 farm management deposits, which you can write off against the loans. Therefore, you basically get a tax deduction for paying off your place, which is pretty handy. More money in biosecurity, more money in research and development, money to assist so that we have people overseas actually pulling our product through so that we can continue and sustain these strong markets. Making sure that people are treated fairly. ACCC Commissioner dedicated solely to rural issues. I hope what people are seeing, what we are doing in agriculture, is bringing a substantive turnaround in what was formerly our position a few years ago. I want to continue to build on this. If we also see that there are other issues that we're managing as well. For instance, we've got about $35 million for stimulus packages out west and another $25 million for pest control, just so the people out in the western districts can get their capacity to get wild dogs off their place and maybe reinvest with meat sheep or even with cattle. As we know, weaning rates go down with wild dogs, even on cattle places. We've got a substantial program going forward now with dams as well. We've got a bit of money put aside, about $500 million to start the dams process. We're already starting to build one, Chaffey Dam, and also in Tasmania, in the irrigation precincts in Tasmania. It's going to be important in the north. We've got some big money on the table for beef roads to start sealing them so we can get greater access to the product through. The way I see it in the beef game is globally there is a deficit for protein, whether it's bovine, whether it's ovine, caprine, porcine, poultry, vegetable protein. It doesn't really matter. The world is getting richer and their dietary needs are changing and they're going for a higher form of protein. We're in the box seat to supply that. So what we're trying to do is get better prices, understand our markets long into the future that are going to provide sustained returns over a longer term, and making sure we give the inspiration for the investment back on the place, and also investment by the government to assist in that process. In other issues such as water, we've now got water in the portfolio. This is going to be very important, not so much in your area, but people in the Murray-Darling Basin, so that we get a fairer outcome, taking into account the socio-economic requirements of people in those regional towns. There's a big one I used to live in, St George. We want to make sure that we manage things there so that people are better looked after with the implementation of infrastructure as opposed to water buybacks. So the beef game is looking good. I was up at Rockhampton for Beef Week. As I said, it was like a mosh pit for people wanting to invest in the cattle industry, and that showed the sort of excitement that is present there. I see that in the bull sales, and I've been going around a couple, that we're getting good clearance rates in bulls, so people are knowing they're going to get to better forms of genetics, a stronger form of genetics to try and match up to the requirements that are there. I can see in Indonesia, when just back, it's very similar to what was happening in Saudi Arabia and other places, that you go to the supermarkets and it is the Olympic Games for the display of food. In Indonesia, it's only a small portion of the market is in supermarkets. A lot of it's done through the wet trade, where they kill the beast by 10 o'clock, and by 10 o'clock the next day it's all gone, the whole thing. The only thing that's left out there is the move, and they're trying to work out how to sell that. But this goes to show that our product has to display well against our competing products. It's not the cheapest product, it's got to be the best product. Biosecurity issues always remain a concern, and we've had discussions in Indonesia. They were talking about bringing in beef from India. India's got foot and mouth, and that would not be a good outcome for us. We don't want it, because it's a cheaper product. We don't want it because it brings a potential major threat to us one step closer. You can see the problem Indonesia's having right now trying to get rid of rabies. I've been watching some of the reports on the weekend as they're shooting out dogs. That's right next door to us at Bali. The last thing we want is foot and mouth coming in. Rabies is next door, and that's a big enough concern of us already. Anyway, I hope that you have a good conference. I know that I'll get reports back. We're here to serve you. That's my job. My staff are here to look after you. We've got Melinda Hashimoto. She used to be Melinda Schneider in the office, so she keeps me very much up to date with what's happening in central Queensland. And Andrew Henderson, who used to be up in that neck of the woods too, is also in this office. So we've got a good, strong connection to central Queensland and into the Billa region specifically, the Banana Shire. And any shire named after a bull has to be an area that the Minister for Agriculture looks after. Anyway, all the best and God bless, and good luck with your conference.